He's an MBA engineer. A bad combination. Okay? He likes to spreadsheet everything to death. Okay? It's been tough for him to get away from that over-analysis. Remember, there's only one hanging in that thing in our model, and that's a motivated seller. Whether he be black, brown, yellow, Jew, Hindu, motivated seller. If you don't have a motivated seller, you don't have shit. He had done this for somebody else and on somebody else's balance sheet. So he always had big money behind when he did it for somebody else. Now you don't have big money. All you got is a big fucking mouth now. For some of you, that'll be easier because your proclivity is to flap your lips. Now's the time to flap your lips, kids. This is it. For those of you that know how to fucking sell, this is the time. Flap those big lips. Okay, next. Although I've been chairman of 3 big IT companies, all those things he described, I don't even know what any of that shit is. I've been saying the cloud for 35 years, but that's not the cloud I meant. You don't have to know all these details. He said by definition, he has been held up because he's an MBA engineer. A bad combination, okay? He likes to spreadsheet everything to death, okay? It's been tough for him to get away from that over-analysis. Remember, there's only one hanging in that thing in our model, and that's a motivated seller. Whether he be black, brown, yellow, Jew, Hindu, motivated seller. If you don't have a motivated seller, you don't have shit. And remember, before the break, I said the difference between a suspect and a prospect. A suspect is anybody that'll talk to you, return your phone call. A prospect is somebody who can actually sell to you. Okay, the next thing he brought up was that he saw everybody face to face. Everybody you're going to hear in the next week, save one guy, face to face for the board. Okay, most of the people that you're going to listen to are going to say face to face for the seller. We've got a couple of the young kids that have been successful because they've grown up on the internet, they've grown up on Skype, they've grown up on texting. They're buying companies, not texting, but they're buying companies Skyping. But those are the young kids, and they normally do that because they have no interpersonal skills. Now, so far, I say this slightly tongue-in-cheek, nobody in this room's got any interpersonal skills, and you're not young. People that have sales backgrounds, this is easier. Hall of Famer is a girl that sold, one of the girls that sold knives door to door. Knives, door to door. We've got insurance salesmen sold door to door. If you can sell knives and insurance door to door, you know how to sell. I've sold insurance door to door myself. I've seen the sun go down, sitting in the kitchen with a pot of coffee, go down and come up, and I'm still sitting in the same kitchen because I would not leave unless they fucking bought. As you know, I had a 94.6% closing ratio when I sold. Unheard of. You either bought or you fucking died at that table. That's why the hatchet's up there. I went from the sledgehammer to the hatchet. Okay, the next thing Deb said was, now, because he's involved in inner cross-border shit, it takes longer. When the EU's got to approve something, and those are the big deals, though. I do not recommend any of you in this room get involved in a cross-border big deal for your first deal. I just don't. Because it'll probably end in tears. Because these deals take months, if not years, to close. You want a motivated seller, and he didn't get to this, but when I say you buy 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 companies, smaller companies, maybe $500,000 to $5 million in value, enterprise value, and you're using none of your own money, right? And some of those are motivated sellers that you're buying them through seller's finance. You're building up equity in every deal that you close. So the first deal you may only build up $300,000 or $500,000 in equity. The next deal $1 million. The next deal $1.5 million. By the time you get to the 5th or 6th deal, you've got $5 or $6 million in equity in the deal. Remember, you started with 0. So now you got $5 million in your money, $5 million in equity. Then you've got leverage, even more leverage with commercial banks. And commercial banks are not the only entities that put money in deals. Pension funds, insurance companies, which we talk about in a couple of days. Pension funds, insurance companies, and commercial banks. Not private equity. Remember, private equity is the lender or investor of last resort. The next thing that Deb brought up is the Tanlin Club, which is in Singapore, it's kind of like the Jonathan Club of Singapore. And by coincidence, because he was a CEO of a big company, he was a member. And a good portion of his board of directors are members of the Tanlin Club or Tanlin Club affiliate. The one thing that he just glossed upon, the one board member that he had come from the UK to meet him in Singapore paid his own way. You have no money to be buying tickets for anybody, even coach tickets. So don't ask me that stupid question in your weekly reports. You don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of right now. So don't be buying fucking tickets with people. If they're not willing to come to meet you, and if you're not going to be there on some, interviewing a bunch of people, then next. They're not interested. Not only do the sellers have to be motivated, the board of directors have to be motivated. And when he made the joke about, and Mr. Pena, PwC had a big board meeting. If you go to interview any accountant or any lawyer, the size of the room that they put you in is commensurate with what they think of you and the transaction. If you're in a room like this, now I won't even go into a meeting like that. You should go because you need the practice. They think shit of you and your deal. If they sit you in a boardroom the size of this room, and there's 3 partners, and they've laid on a brunch, they like you and or your deal. Probably your deal more than you, and that is a rule of thumb that has stood me in good test for almost 50 years. The size of the room. And when the managing partner of the office, of the London office, or of the New York Manhattan office, or of the Paris office, or of the Singapore office of E&Y comes in and pokes his head in, I just wanted to see how you guys were doing. The deal's fucking hot. Now these, and nobody ever, the meatheads and all the questions, how many questions did we not answer yesterday? 500, 600? Not one of them asked me any of the things I'm telling you right now. The meatheads that were on that, that Ask Dan thing I did yesterday, they asked me, how do you get out of your comfort zone? Just like the people in the seminar asked him, what do you do to get out of your comfort zone? What do you do to scare yourself? Those people, this is what they should do. Fucking metaphorically speaking, because I would never want anybody to take their own life. This is what they do. Most people that come to the seminar, this is what they should have done before they came here and not wasted 20 grand. Your parents should have drowned you. Spartans, after 7, 8 years, the Spartans took the kids away from their mothers. Self-esteem is built up for 7 or 8 years. Not a coincidence. And the ones that they didn't take away, they put in a ditch, put them out of their misery. The Spartans had it right. Okay, next with Deb. See. No, those are the main things for Deb. And he's a seasoned professional. But it's one thing, we had guys from Goldman Sachs come through the seminar. When you retire from Goldman Sachs, it used to be you got a 30-year money when you retired, a 30-year money in 3 years, and a 30-year money in 5 years. But when you're used to wearing the Goldman Sachs shield, like Superman shield, it's a big difference from trying to buy companies when you're working for Goldman Sachs and you going to try to buy companies, Rufus and Doofus and company. And some of them never get over not being at Goldman Sachs. Some of them go back to Goldman Sachs. It's a big difference. And now he's doing it, as they say in this country, cricket terms, on his own back. Because the only one on the crease, cricket terms, is him. And the first meeting, another takeaway, the first meeting he has with the accountants and the lawyers is him. The second meeting, he brings somebody from his board of directors, his dream team, because that's when the first meeting is just, a perfunctory bullshit, yada, yada, yada. The second meeting is when they're going to sell you. They're going to sell you all their services, etc. And you do not use, all the big accounting firms now both have accounting and law. You want a division of labor. You do not want to use E&Y's accountants and E&Y's lawyers. You do not want to use PwC's accountants and PwC's lawyers. You want to have them separated because you want a second opinion. And and I'm not saying the PwC or any of the big four would ever say anything wrong, but they're less likely, or they're more likely to agree with their accounting colleague than disagree. And you can ask the top 25 accounting firms, they'll all tell you Penny's full of shit because we're professional. We're more professional. This isn't the 80s and Chinese walls really exist. Well, Chinese walls don't exist. That's the wall supposedly between departments, and that's horseshit. That's in your dream. There is no such a thing in my judgment. And when you ask them if they won't call me by name. Some of the big firms call me the Castleman. They'll say, and then just ask them, you won't. Just ask him, and how many fucking deals have you done, moron? But you won't. I can just look in your eyes now. Jesus, I hope he doesn't count me, give me a strike and throw me out when I don't do that. The people up there did. Money's not everything, but it's the only thing anybody keeps track of. And we've got some tree huggers in the room. They don't call them tree huggers now. You want to save the world. I don't give a fuck. If the world ends the day after I die, I don't give a fuck. But you make money, then go save the world. Okay, now, any questions about Deb? Now that I've given you the main points. It was like pulling teeth, trying to get the main points out of you. And you go back to, well, how does he scare himself? We have had people go into Starbucks in Chicago wearing a diaper to scare themselves. Chicago, on the loop, a diaper. We have had kids, Manhattan and Madison and 54th, lie naked in the middle of the intersection. Naked, nothing. Didn't even get arrested in New York. We've had kids do some crazy shit. I like the diaper in Chicago better. I'm not suggesting you run in front of a charging bull and done some of the shit that I've done, but there are ways to get out of your comfort. Okay, now, again, any questions about Deb or any comments about Deb? And Deb is a pseudonym. His name is Albert Horatio Hornblower. No, Albert Farquhar Horatio Hornblower, the third. Any comments, any questions about? Yes, sir.
If I understood him correctly, he didn't do any deals yet?
Not yet. Now, that's a few months old. He has now, but not when he said that.
You already had a board in place?
No. He got him to the seminar, he put a board together. Now we got a kid here, coincidentally from Singapore, who has Dream Team?
No Dream Team.
Okay, what? Motivated sellers, bank?
Focus on banks.
Okay. No, he didn't have, he had a clean sheet of paper when he came here. By the time he made this call to us, this group, a few months ago, he had put a board together. He had found 10 deals in his funnel. He didn't call it a funnel, but the same kind of funnel that the Dutch guy, the first guy, he had one of the big 4 accounting firms, international law firm, and 7 or 8 or 9 banks that were all, now it's easier to get the banks interested in financing a $600 million deal than a $600,000 deal. Believe me, they have time for you because they will just, their eyes will go like, a slot machine when it goes to 7s, their eyes is glass up because they think of the fees. By the way, why don't the big investment banks, the Goldman Sachs, the INGs, the Bank of America, the JP Morgans, etc., why don't they tell you about this kind of transactions? There's no fee. The fees that you pay the I-banks, as they're called, the investment banks, on this kind of deal that we do is minuscule, de minimis, almost non-existent compared to the fees when they give you investment advisory services, because 60% of the revenue of the big I-banks now, investment banks, are fee-driven for advice they give you, not risk they take. And that's why hardly anybody. When you ask somebody at JP Morgan, does this shit work? Yeah, but they'll say, but I got a way. You don't even have to do that. We'll send you right over to our private equity arm. And they'll just write you a check, and what they don't say, and then they'll take 90% of the deal away. And probably throw you in the street and then they won't piss on your face if it's on fire. They don't tell you that part. And it is easier to get a motivated seller to want to do business with JP Morgan, because JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, but you're not going to make any money. Aren't going to make any money. And you're certainly not going to create generational wealth. And what you will ultimately wind up being is you will be a commission driven. And some of the banks will just say, you guys know how to do it. We'll pay you 2% of every deal you bring in. And some of the guys that have gone through the program in the last 25 years have gotten pretty wealthy just bringing deals to those I-banks that I've just mentioned, but they haven't built any generational wealth. But remember, I told you, everybody says $1 billion and they get a couple $100 million, they run like, dogs in the night. And for some of the people, hopefully nobody in this room, being a finder, a commission-driven finder, like a real estate agent. Being a real estate agent for an investment bank will be enough for you. I hope not, but I never underestimate how wrong I can be. Some of the people will just, find that they can make $3 or $4 million a year, which I know is chump change, but just, working on a few deals and bringing a few deals to Goldman Sachs. And we have had guys and gals that do that. Fine, I'll be with you. You didn't have to waste 20 grand coming here. But most of the guys, yes, sir. Are you going to, okay.
So Deb is going after the big deal.
The big cojones, the big mamas.
Would you recommend?
No, I recommend. It's going to take him a long time. And the one thing I disagree with him, he says the young kids have more time. That's not true. The young kids, they used to tell me, oh, you're already ahead of the curve. You're already making as much money. When I was 25, 26, 28 years old, I was making as much as a 50-year-old. And when I was 35, I was making, hardly anybody made more money than I did. But pretty soon, then you're 40, then you're 50. And for those of you that are already 40 and 50, the young kids don't have all the time, okay? For a young kid following QLA, he can do this 6 to 9 to 10 times in his career. A kid in his 25 or younger, okay? For a guy that's 25 to 35, you can do this 4 or 5 times. Buy, roll up, X, buy, roll up, X. For a guy 50, you can do it a couple times, unless you're going to work till you're old as me, because I'm still doing it. Now I'm going to be 74 in a few weeks. But you can do this, and every time, remember, you're building up equity, and you're buying. I don't like to use the words arbitrage because that's too fancy, because it's really not an arbitrage. But it's simplistically, you're buying low and selling high, which sounds a cheap cliche. But you're buying companies at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you're exiting them at 10 to 20 times. Anybody not understand? You're buying them at 5 times earnings, more or less, and you're exiting at 20 times. So if it earns $5 million at 5 times, and you exit at 20 times, you're buying for 5 and you're selling for 80 to 100. Everybody follow me? So it's a simple arbitrage. And for your YouTubers, please email me or on YouTube, and you're going to tell me that I misexplained arbitrage, because that's not really an arbitrage, okay? But it's close enough for government work, okay? Okay.